First of all, it was a super cool experience. It was their first match since their national championship, first home match, and the crowd, it was packed. A lot of energy in that gym. They unveiled the national championship banner, which it wasn't for us, but I got goosebumps 100 times during that process. It was really neat to be a part of. I had several coaches text me, the coaches that were there, saying there's nobody in the country that was beating that team that night. They were just really, really good. And I think one of the biggest things for us, we got throttled in the first set. 25-5 was the score of the first set. And, we really kind of shell-shocked, didn't really know what was happening. A big part of that was definitely Kentucky. They were playing with a lot of energy and just really, really good. And I think a positive on our side is that we were able to turn it around and play a lot better in sets 2 and 3, finding ways to score points against a really good team. And I think, again, that's a learning moment for us because we definitely could have rolled over and just allowed that to continue to happen. So really proud of our kids for being able to bounce back in those next 2 sets. Heading into the Creighton match, I said last week they were unranked, just getting votes, and I felt very strongly they would be a top 25 team and even top 15 team going in. They went 3-0 on the weekend, so a very good Creighton team. And I actually thought the first 2 sets of the Creighton match were 2 of our best sets of the weekend, so that was a huge positive. They're just really good at not making mistakes. We had a lot of long rallies that we never ended up on the winning side of. And I think by the end of that second set, it kind of deflated us, and probably I didn't like the ending we had because I thought the weekend was a lot better than that last set. I think our biggest issue right now is just being able to find ways to score and not have as many errors. So that kind of contradicts itself a little bit. So we have to be more aggressive, but we also have to clean up our unforced errors. So playing cleaner volleyball, but still playing a little bit more aggressive. We had a set in each one of those matches where we hit negative, and you're just not going to be able to do that. You can't give away more points than you're scoring. And then that in turn allowed us to not hit over 100 for any of the matches. And again, against 3 very good teams that do a lot of great things, both offensively and defensively, but definitely need to clean up that side of our game. And again, not a lot of practice time to do that. So as Nick said, we head out to Washington State. The challenge with it is the schedule did change. So instead of playing 2 matches on Friday and 1 on Saturday, we are now playing a match on Thursday and 2 matches on Friday. So a very quick turnaround. We felt like we just got back, and now tomorrow morning, really early, we're heading out to Washington State and have to be prepared to play on Thursday. So 3 really good teams. Their records do not do them justice. They've had really good schedules. Washington State was ranked in the top 25, and they've played all ranked opponents except 1, and 2 of those have been top 10 opponents. So again, their record does not show the type of team they are. We have started watching some video on all 3 teams, but it's definitely cram session trying to get ready for all 3 teams. But we have Gonzaga first, like I said, on Thursday, and then we'll have Washington State in the morning and Long Beach State in the evening on Friday. Friday. Any questions?
With the schedule the way it is there at least a positive that because you get through the week earlier that you have a little bit more time to get ready for the following week when you have 4 different matches, including your home opener?
Yeah, and I think that was the biggest reason why we finally agreed to it. We were really trying to decide if that was the best thing for us because they did allow us, both Gonzaga and ourselves, to make that decision because it's really only affecting us. And that was the biggest decision in that is just getting back a little bit earlier because we do have a Wednesday match and we would have gotten back really late on Sunday as opposed to really late on Saturday now. So we like that better preparation for, like you said, our home opener and then 3 matches on the weekend. And the 3 matches on the weekend are 2 on Friday and 1 on Saturday. So again, kind of jam-packed in there.
Looking at the all-time series, the first time you and I played Gonzaga was in your senior year as a part of the postseason. Is there anything you remember about that contest at all?
I don't remember playing them, so is that bad? Yeah, I don't know, but I've gotten to see 1 match against them, and they're just a scrappy, gritty team. They have 2 really good outsides, which they go to a lot. So kind of what I expected from them, just being very scrappy, gritty ballers, and that's exactly what they are.
Well, speaking of outsides, you've talked before about what Kira's done protection-wise for this team, but what about the energy and enthusiasm she provides, especially seems like every time she gets a block that she's going to be celebrating harder than anybody in the country.
Yeah, especially the block, which I think she's working on blocking. She doesn't feel like she's a very good blocker, so when she does get one, she definitely gets excited about that. Yeah, it's kind of cool because we weren't sure about Kira and the amount of energy that she would bring, just because she is a freshman. She's played on a very high level club team, and they had a lot of really high energy players on that team. So I never really noticed that from her. But she's definitely brought that part, which I think, on our team, we don't have a lot of crazy high energy. We have intense focused players, but not a lot of high energy. So it's cool that she brings that part to the game for sure. All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
We're going to jump to UNI cross country with assistant coach Alex Wilson. The Panthers finished 5th out of 11 at Iowa, with freshman Kiki Connell finishing 7th.
Yeah, so like Nick said, we were down at Iowa City this past weekend for our first regular season meet since 2019, because last year we only had our conference meet, which was in March. So we had a lot of freshmen because they didn't use eligibility last year, so very young teams. Both teams finished top 5, both men and women, and we took down multiple Valley schools, which was really exciting to see. It's an early season meet, so, it's hard to know where they'll stack up here at end of October, but it's always good to see us taking down some Valley schools early on. On the men's team, our top 5 actually had a 20-second spread from number 1 to number 5, which is something we love to see. The smaller the spread, the better our team is doing. Our top finisher was junior Sam McCool, and then followed by freshman Peyton Mars and sophomore David Holsinger. On the women's side, our top 3 were all freshmen. Leading the way was Kiki Connell. She finished 7th overall against, some very good competitors, so that was great to see. And she was followed by Sophia Jungling and Kate Crawford. So really excited to see just where everyone's at right now, and seeing some of our younger athletes step up and take those roles of, 1 through 5 on our team has been really great to see. I think they're going to be super competitive here come towards the end of the season. Our next meet is next Friday, so we have this week off. September 17th down at Illinois State. That is where we will have our conference meet as well. So we're excited to see that course, get to run against a bunch of schools in the conference and kind of see how we stack up on that course. But yeah, training's been going pretty great. We're going to get in some good training this week, having the week off from competition, and get geared up for Illinois State next week. Any questions?
As far as the training goes, is there anything specific you have to work on with this team, or is it just putting the work in for this next week and a half?
On the men's team, we're really emphasizing, working together as a group, because, we're only as strong as our 5th person. And so bringing that person as close as we can to the leader will be important. And then with the women's side, being that we are so young, it's just kind of putting in the work and, moving that bar a little bit further and further every week. Thanks, everybody.
Oh, did they? No, the regular short game was continuous clock in the second quarter, so that was nice. Crestwood is just terrible on the other bad.
Who had coach for Crestwood, right?
Yeah, it's old. Guy used to be a Waverly. I can't think of the name right off the top. This is an old Waverly guy, and I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Justin Bennett?
Yes.
We were teammates.
Very good.
All right. We will move on with Panther football. Panthers take on Sacramento State, 8 o'clock Central Time on ESPN+.
Go ahead. I'll fill you in.
Well, after looking at the game film, give us your opinion of your performance on Saturday.
We played well. We made mistakes along the way in the first football game, but as far as standing the test, looking at the physicality of the game, looking at weighing who the opponent was, those types of things, we played good enough to win the football game. Had we played to our level of what we could have won the football game, but we played well enough to put ourselves in position those last 2 drives to win. As I look at it, I thought our defensive line, particularly, well, not in particular, Jared Brinkman played very well, but our whole defensive line played very well. I thought our linebackers fit very well because playing against Hall, we knew he was an exceptional football player, and we couldn't leave any cracks out there, and we were very sound and disciplined what we did. And I thought our tackling was probably better than expected in the first particular game against the opponent. So I felt good that way. Offensively, I thought we should have ran the ball better than what we did. I wish we had ran it more, because when we did run it, we were moving the line of scrimmage the way we hoped to. It was the sacks that got us in trouble, and it was a couple penalties that took some drives away from us on ourselves that hurt us. So as I look back on it, there's probably the one touchdown we scored, and then the one touchdown they scored was actually a factor of that pass interference that was in the end zone. That even go back and look at it, that was debatable of what happened there. So it was a defensive game the whole day, a well-played football game, and we just didn't make those last 2 drives that we had an opportunity to.
Saw Logan Wolf lead the game in the second half. Looked like he was testing out a foot or maybe a hamstring or something. What can you tell us about his status for Saturday?
He's questionable. He was questionable all the way to game day for that one, because he had pulled his hamstring 2 weeks prior to that, and he wanted to play so bad that he really worked his way into that game. I did not expect him to play when he had pulled that hamstring the week prior to, but he had done so much time that he did get himself back. It wasn't to the level he needed to be to play the number of snaps that he did. And then the one he pulled it on, it was a play that he had actually got the catch and got hit, and that kind of triggered it was a weak hand, but it was still a good hand to play on, but it just didn't work out. So he's questionable this week. Those hamstrings are tough. It's how bad was the pull and how quickly can he recover. And he plays a position that's pretty tough.
What's Antoine Frazier's status? We saw him working at right guard in preseason camp, and then Piney got the start there on Saturday.
Piney got the start, and Antoine Frazier is excellent, and a lot had to do with that was a tough decision. And ultimately, going to the game, it was going to be a rotation of Antoine, Vanderslice, and Piney playing the right side. And as we were playing the football game, Justin ended up playing the entire football game. Initially, that was not what we had decided to do. It just turned out that way as the game was progressing and coming out. But Antoine's an excellent football player, and he's prepared. He was our starting right tackle last year. Much of camp, he was at the starting position as right guard. So, and then Justin came back, and he's the 5th-year senior. That's really put a lot of time into preparing and getting ready. So I thought it was only right that he got the opportunity to start in that particular football game.
Coach, Alfonso Lambert's another guy that's put in the time. I mean, he had a hell of a game. Just talk about his performance and what he brought to the table Saturday.
Well, Alfonso Lambert, again, he's been here 4 years and hasn't started a football game until the end of the COVID season. And again, another guy that deserved to start that football game for us because of what he has brought to UNI and what the investment he has in UNI. So he played another excellent football game. I mean, first play of the game or second play of the game, when we're at the 50-yard line, we were in trouble right out of the gate. I mean, momentum had gone. We had 3 poor plays on offense and punted at the 50-yard line. So, and then he goes out, I think it was the second play of the game, ran the guy down the outside, knocked the ball loose and kicked it back 5 yards, and thus made it 3rd and long, and now we took momentum back away from him. So Alfonso and even Justin Piney, what I would say in regard of those two is in that particular game, those two have put 5 years into UNI. And I know what it feels like to play in those big games, and you want the opportunity to be the starter, and they earned the right to be the starter in those games based off the time they put in, and I knew they would whatever decision you made, who the starter is, they would outplay their talent because of their pride of playing for UNI. And I think that makes a huge difference, and that's why those two got the start, and those two both played very well.
What have you learned about Sacramento State, and what kind of challenge do they present?
Sac State is the Big Sky champion in 2019, and deservedly so. They beat Montana State. I mean, they went into Montana State and beat them bad. They played Montana, came to them and beat them bad. And I'm looking at the scores and the points they're putting up in that season, and it was outstanding against great teams that I would consider very good football teams. So what I see from them is an offense that is really stretches the width of the field and the depth of the field. I mean, the play calling and their head coach is an old offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, and he is. I don't know him personally, but man, just by looking at his plan, he knows what he's doing. He knows why he's doing it. Very, very good system. And then defensively, very aggressive system. Really come up after you and do multiple things on defense and really play fast to the football. So it was surprising. I've never seen Sac State play till we got this film, and they did an exceptional job, and they're an exceptional football team.
Looks like they have a balanced running attack last week against Dixie State, both a quarter dimensional offense. So, how big of a challenge is that for your defense?
Oh, it's a challenge because they've got two really quick running backs. The speed of their backs is excellent, and they're the two backs back from a year ago, now 2 years ago. So it's their speed, it's their quickness, and they have that. They can make the cut. As I watch guys, some guys can run downhill, some guys can make the cut. They can make the cut, and so with their speed and their ability to make the break, every time they touch the ball, they're capable of scoring. And this last week, that's where they're getting the rushing yards. And then the quarterback's very athletic too. They use their quarterback in the run game as much as they use him in the throwing game. So they are a true spread offense system that uses a mobile quarterback to make it all work.
What do you think about Will going back and watching the game? He had the 2 interceptions, but there were times where he stepped up in the pocket, made some big throws as well. Just overall, what do you think?
Overall, I would say this about Will. I saw improvement in Will. I saw him step up in the pocket. Now, early on, that first initial hit he took on the sack, as we didn't get the snap count, that was probably as loud as I've heard Jack Trice, because everybody's back for the first time, I think. And seriously, I was not really concerned about the sound or the noise in outside games until that time. That's the only time I've really heard the noise factor get that loud, but it was a factor. And then Vanderslice never heard the snap count, and that's why he hit the free hit. And then so you kind of worried about, oh man, is he going to go back to scrambling because he got hit early? And then he steps up in the pocket. He's throwing the ball on time. He's throwing to the targets that were open. And then, of course, his scrambling ability did make the big play to Dion, which set up the big play to Quan. So those things were excellent. The last couple of drives, I thought we should have stayed with the stepped up in the pocket better in the last couple of drives. He got a little antsy at the end, but you can't fault him either because we're trying to make plays at the end. And with what they were doing defensively, you understand why he was doing some of that stuff. So again, you got to be careful on the evaluation, but you're also going to be very pleased with how he performed because he was very coachable. He was very, and when I say that, he was doing as we hoped he would: stay in the pocket, step up in the pocket, throw the ball on time, and then let your receivers do the work. And ultimately, he was doing that. Anybody else?
I want to ask about, can you give us an update on the practice field? I was just over there. It looked looking really good over there.
Well, the practice field, I just drove out. I've been getting here before the sun comes up, and so I got a chance to look at it this weekend. And it looks excellent. The infill is going in. There's still a lot of infill left to go out there, but when I drove out, there's still a lot of infill that yet to be put in. But I think they're making great progress out there. My hope is that we can get on that field sooner than later. I haven't gotten a date on it yet, but I just know that we're backed up again. Now we don't have turf in the dome again because we tore it up to come back in and work again on the indoor facility on the team room. But the outdoor facility, all the logos are in, the lettering's in the end zone, the infill's going down, and now we still need to put the sod inside the fence to keep the dirt from coming onto the Astro turf, field turf. So once that's done, I think you'll start to see us get a chance to go out there and practice. But it won't be this week, but I wish it was. But at the same time, I'm just glad it's getting done. They're putting in double time. It's great. I mean, you play Iowa State the way we play them. You come back home and you see the facilities we have and the way that our players play and the pride they have in their university and the football program. It's real exciting to get ready to go back to playing a football game right now because there's a lot of good things going on that we can create some energy from. Anybody else? Thanks.
That won't take long.
We'll go UNI women's soccer. They went 1-1 last week with games against South Dakota State and their second game with South Dakota this week. So head coach Bruce Action.
So as Nick said, we had 2 games. We kind of continued the Summit League tour, which will continue again this weekend, going to SDSU and USD again for a second time. So it should be a great weekend. We're actually looking forward to getting on the road and getting our group playing on the road and getting used to that with some of the big conference games that we'll have on the road pretty late this month and then early next month. So I think knowing when we put the schedule together that we were going to have some good non-conference games. I think South Dakota State's picked second in the Summit. I think UNO's third. And I think USD was fourth. So to play that level of competition right away, there's not a lot that separated us in Western and St. Thomas and South Dakota. In fact, the two losses to South Dakota and 1-goal losses to South Dakota, Western Illinois, and UNO were all just all one play in the game, set pieces, and that's just something our group has got to be better with. That's the margin of victory. I felt like we had Sunday's game in hand, and then just one letdown against the right play, and that's soccer. So we've got to be more disciplined in that and more accountable on the field. But that's stuff that we feel like we can fix. So St. Ambrose gave us a good game on Friday, so that was nice to see. Good playing on our field. I mentioned that last week. Love playing out there. Great environment. Great day on Sunday to get out there as well. So we want to play well and continue improving, and this weekend will be a heck of a battle. So, questions?
I know it only feels like we're just back, but you already had senior day on Sunday. What could you say about that senior class that has been helping your program out for the last several years?
Sure. Just a great group all around. I think, that's 7 players that contribute, and I think having a senior class like that is important because, technically speaking, we've got 17 freshmen. And so when you've only got 29 players, you hope like heck your senior group can lead. And we're going to be demanding of them. I think they're a great group. They can handle that. I thought they were good all collectively on Sunday. Chloe came in, who, has been sort of our third goalkeeper thus far, but is good enough to be our top goalkeeper. I thought she had a very good game, as really did all of them. And as the lone senior not playing yet, so we need her back. But they're a good group. We're going to rely on them heavily down the stretch here, just to, like I mentioned, the whole margin of victory is so slim that it's those voices, those senior voices, that we really have to continue to hear from and really challenge them to get this young group, on the same page. And if we can do that, that's certainly the group that can lead us, for sure. Thank you.
All right, wrap it up with Panther Golf. The women's golf team finished 9th of 16 at the Redbird Invitational. Hannah Burnwell, the top performer, tied 9th. The men are at Air Force this week, and women go to Drake. Head coach John Bowman.
Thanks. Well, this is a little bit different. Just to have all these young kids playing is quite a bit different for me. When we've had that group of seniors last year leading the way. And so it was kind of an interesting weekend to have 3 kids shoot under par all 3 different rounds. The other kid shot her personal best. So they might say that the golf course wasn't real difficult, but that was part of it. But the other part is that we had some nice rounds. I thought we'd struggle a little bit since we don't have any seniors, and other than Hannah playing right now, and so it was nice to see when you travel with 3 sophomores and a freshman, you're going to run into bumps in the road, but it was exciting. The kids had a chance to beat all the Missouri Valley teams, and we didn't quite get it done, but I really like where we're headed, so that's a good sign. Girls go to Brookings, South Dakota this week, South Dakota State's tournament. We'll play Monday, Tuesday, and the boys are in action for the first time, headed to Colorado Springs and play an Air Force tournament. Air Force will have a really, really good field, so we'll have to make the adjustment to the altitude, and hopefully we hit it long and straight. So, anybody got any questions?
Yeah, since the men's team hasn't been in action yet, what are you expecting out of this club, and who needs to really lead in terms of production, but also just general leadership of that group?
Yeah, that's a good question because we've got so many returning kids from last year's top 5. So Tommy Doyle's a senior this year, and he's going to be important. Griffin Parker, first team all conference player from last year, he's going to be really important. And the big kid with the same last name as me is going to be important too. So we need those 3 really bad. And then Alex has got some experience, Alex Price, and Thomas Storbeck is, I don't know what grade he's in. He's been here forever, and but he's old for whatever grade he is in, and so we got some good experience, and so it should be exciting because we are playing a good field, and like I said, the altitude's going to be a big adjustment for us. All right, thanks.